So I want to share with you 3 of my favorite stretches that help keep my knees healthy. I'll talk to you about why I chose these particular stretches. So our quad muscles, so these big muscles on the front of our thigh, take quite a beating when we are training. So whether we're running, jumping, for squatting, these muscles are doing a lot of work to help straighten the knee, and they get pretty beat up, frankly. And so as we train this muscle, as the muscles become maybe a little bit more stiff after training, maybe the tendons are a little bit inflamed, that can cause a lot of pain around the knee, especially right above the kneecap is a pretty common area, and also below the kneecap. Really anything kind of around the front of the knee is what we're trying to target. So this can often make it painful to bend your knee, so to go downstairs, to get up out of a chair. Just having that anterior knee pain can be quite a limiter. So I found that before I leave the gym, if I can spend 3 to 5 minutes just stretching my knees into flexion, that can help relax the tissues and help me feel much better in the days following. So here's 3 of those movements. All right, so the first one I want to show you is the saddle pose, right, or a heel sit. So my knees are a little bit lit up from a big squat workout I did yesterday, so my right knee in particular doesn't quite like this position. So one way just to start to take the edge off is just to sit on something. Take some pillows, a foam roller, and just decrease the height. So ideally we want to work to where we can sit comfortably on our heels. That would be kind of a normal range of motion that we'd want to we want to aim for. But if you're not there yet, it's okay. Foam roller works great. Now I can just relax. You don't want to have to tense up and kind of resist the pose. So I can just hang here pretty comfortably. This position would feel good for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. The foam roller just puts a little bit of pressure on the lower leg, but pillows work great. And you can adjust the height and progress it over time. You can even just progress it within the session to where maybe you sit here for a minute, then you can slowly take it away and work towards your heels. Another thing you can do is to use a towel roll. So you take a hand towel and you just kind of roll it up like this. We can actually kind of gap and mobilize the knee joint. So if we have a little bit of irritation to the joint itself, this is a really helpful way to improve your knee flexion. It's going to mobilize your lower leg, that tibia, on the upper leg, your femur is going to mobilize that joint. So what that would look like, so if I take the roller out, now I'm just going to take the towel roll, place it right here in the crease of my knee, and I can sit into that, and it actually feels a little more tolerable, and I can feel a bit of a stretch around the knee joint as that towel is just providing a mobilization force into the tibia. It feels like a nice stretch. It shouldn't be uncomfortable. So I can just kind of hang here. As I start to relax into that, if I can start to relax sitting down there, you can even start to lean back. The advanced version of this pose would be to lay all the way back onto the ground, so shoulder blades on the floor. That's something you can kind of work towards over time. So this is another way that we can work into the saddle pose, okay? So usually I like to spend at least a minute, ideally 2 minutes, working up to even 3 to 5 minutes where you can just comfortably sit on the heels. So that's stretch number 1. All right, for stretch number 2, we have the couch stretch. So this is a great stretch where we need a wall or a box. You can use the couch even, which is how it got its name. You just need something solid behind you to be able to prop your leg up onto. You can also use a chair, a foam roller, something to help kind of support your upper body, especially if you're a bit on the tighter side. Having that upper body support can really, really help. So I've got a mat here just to make it more comfortable for this knee that's going to be on the ground. We're going to set up by coming down here. I'm going to take my back leg and I'm placing my shin so it's flat against the wall. You want to try and get it there as best you can. And this is where you have a chair that can really help out. I'm going to use my hands. I'm going to bring my other leg out in front. So trying to get my heel to my butt on the stretching side. It may not get there, totally fine. You can stay on the ground here. You can also get a great stretch this way. But over time, as you loosen up, I want to work towards getting more upright. So just start wherever you're able to. Again, don't force anything. Try to keep it in a comfortable position and work your way up. So over time, we're able to go here. While we're hanging out here, it's important to really make sure that you can squeeze your butt on this side that we're stretching, right? So we're not wanting to really arch our back and really kind of stick our butt out. They can kind of compress the spine a little bit and actually takes away from some of the stretch that we're trying to get. We actually want to kind of tuck the pelvis under, make sure we can squeeze our butt. Now just put our pelvis in more of a neutral position, which is what we want. Now, the reason why I like this stretch, and I think it complements well with the saddle pose, is that it stretches one of our quadricep muscles, one of these thigh muscles that actually comes up and crosses the hip. So when you're doing this, you may say, hey, I feel this higher up in my thigh, even in the front of the hip. That's totally normal. That's one of the muscles that we're targeting. So your quadricep muscles, you've got 4 of them, right? So that's why they're called quadriceps. This one in particular is called your rectus femoris. So it actually acts as a hip flexor as well as a quad muscle. So when we're in the saddle pose, it's a little bit tougher to hit this one. And by having ourselves be a little more upright with our knee like this, we're actually stretching into that rectus femoris. We're actually stretching the hip and the knee combined. So this is where I like to use a chair or a foam roller to kind of prop up nice and tall. This just gives me a little bit of support. I don't have to force it as much. I can just kind of relax into the pose. Now the magic number here is 2 minutes per side. You can go longer, but I've really found that 2 minutes is the spot where I'll really notice a difference, and I don't notice a huge extra benefit from going much longer than that. So if it's a little bit too intense, you can always break it up into 30 to 60 second chunks, but try to accumulate that total 2 minute time frame. If you're much tighter on one side, maybe you target a little bit longer on that side, or even maybe do a little bit less on the other side, but definitely hitting this one 2 minutes per side. All right, and the final stretch is a half saddle pose. So we did the first stretch was just a normal saddle pose with both knees. I really like this half saddle pose because it allows us to isolate and target one leg over the other. So it's more common for us to have maybe one side that tends to get a bit tighter than the other. For me, that's my right side, so I can actually spend a little more time just focusing on that side. The way I like to set up in this, it's also going to target a bit of hip motion as well. So if we're limited in our hips, it oftentimes increases stress onto the knee. And so by focusing on kind of improving this hip internal rotation in this stretch, I'm also going to help improve some mobility that'll take stress off my knee in the future. So it's kind of you get a double whammy here, which is nice. So to do this, you'll set up, you'll actually take your back leg here. Now it is common to cramp here, so try not to force it. If you start to cramp on the outside of your hip, you just come out of the stretch, shake it out, and get back into it. So we'll set up, kind of leaning away towards here. So that's actually feeling pretty darn tight on me today. Oh, come out of that cramp, there we go. All right, so now I'm set up here. You can see I've got my foot just the side of my hip. I'm leaning over to the left side. I like to start here. You always want to start really gentle in the stretch, something you can really tolerate. And as you sit in it, you'll start to acclimate and be able to relax into it further and further. So as we go, I'll try to get my hip closer and closer to my foot to where, by the end of it, I'm just about next to it, about like this. So again, start slow. I like to do the regular saddle pose first to kind of loosen up and prep for this. So again, hang out, depending on how tight you are, you may want to spend maybe 2 minutes on one side, maybe 1 minute on the side that's not as tight, or you can go more equal and try to go 2 and 2. I say 2 minutes is probably the minimum here to really notice a big change. So that's it. Those are my 3 favorite stretches to help navigate knee pain. Again, we like to do these before we leave the gym. If you leave tight, you're going to feel tight. Try to leave the gym feeling loose and ready to go, help decrease that next day stiffness. This isn't going to solve any long-standing knee issues, but it can help prevent kind of that gradual onset of knee pain over time. If you are experiencing knee issues that aren't seeming to go away, if these stretches aren't really doing it for you, we'd love to chat with you at Evo Performance Therapy. That's my physical therapy clinic. We've got a great team there that is totally capable of handling knee issues, low back issues. What do you have going on? We see it all the time. We'd love to help you out. Check us out at evoperformancetherapy.com. You can also check us out on Instagram at evo.pt. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll be posting regular content on all things health, wellness, and performance. We'll cover things from sleep, nutrition, mobility, training, all the things you need to live a high-performance, pain-free life. We'll see you guys next time.